I swear you'll have us blackballed from that club yet.
Why? What did I do? Come on, Raymond, tell me, what did I do?
Oh, you see how far gone he is. He can't remember.
I've had no more than you.
Oh, no more than us, put together.
Hey-ho. Hey, diddle-ho. If all the world were paper, and all the sea were ink, and all the trees were bread and cheese, what would we do for drink? You know, you're a different man these days, Onedin.
So what does this say, Johnson? Blowed if I can make it up.
Oh, it's from your mamma, dear boy. To say, what does she say? Oh, that she's gone to Brighton for a few days' holiday and gives you the address of her hotel.
Poor mother.
I know. Brighton does the same for me.
No, you don't understand. You shouldn't mock!
Listen to this, my lords. Coming to the Pavilion Theatre in 3 weeks' time, Mr. Fergus Doyle's travelling theatrical company.
Please. I doubt he'll ever find us.
Can't just have vanished.
Lying low, I'd say.
Aye. But where?
Nothing from any of the agents?
No.
Notified all the small ports, too?
I've notified everybody.
He's got to stop to cool up somewhere.
Well, then why aren't we hearing anything?
If you don't stop worrying about it...
Of course, I would see that the servants' quarters aren't expensive, but you will be surprised how economical on staff such a residence can be. One good woman and 2 girls, and the place will seem to run itself, I do assure you.
I must warn you, ma'am, the place will need money spending on it. Replumbing at the very least.
Oh, but, sir, the modest price does, of course, reflect that we recognize that some work may be desirable.
I am not sure that Mrs. Onedin would consider the price all that modest, particularly for a mere leasehold.
Oh, but, sir, do consider the desirability of the neighborhood.
Oh, I like it. I do. I like it best of everything we've looked at so far.
Ideal as a family residence, no doubt.
That's exactly the kind of home I want the children to have. Not some huge soulless institution.
So long as you're sure they won't be cramped.
Well, there are 6 bedrooms.
Ma'am, how many children do you have?
None yet. But I don't envisage more than 12 or 15.
Mrs. Onedin is to run a home for children.
Ah. If it's for our tender to freight your Chilean railway you've come for, you've hardly given us enough time. We weren't in possession of all the figures until Wednesday.
Would I press you so unreasonably? Besides, I greatly doubt I shall find myself disposed to look elsewhere.
Ours may not be the lowest price.
In which case I shall content myself with the knowledge that I'm also buying the not inconsiderable bonus of forging closer ties with you.
Isn't that a mighty irresponsible, sir? Coming from a man whose first duty must be to his profit and loss account.
Oh, in such a soulless fellow, perhaps, but not in any lover of great beauty.
And isn't that just as irresponsible? Spoken to a married woman.
Sometimes I do indeed wonder how Sir Daniel can bear to be from your side.
He knows better than to force his presence where it isn't welcome. And I don't thank you for requiring me to say it, so if that's all you've come for...
No, I came to beg a favor, but I've probably forfeited any right to ask it now.
Now you're going to make me feel churlish.
There's a case of wine, at present lying in Gibraltar, which I must have in this country by the 20th of next month. I wondered if you had a vessel near enough to carry it for me.
A single case of wine?
Port.
Well, I can recommend any number of wine merchants.
Well, this happens to be rather a special case.
I should hope so.
It's to be for somebody's birthday.
Even so, there are regular steamship runs from Gibraltar.
Oh, I know, but such a delicate cargo. I wouldn't care to entrust it to just anybody.
The Mersey Maiden is due through the Straits within a week. Will that do?
Oh, as long as the wine is in my hands by the 20th.
Oh, it will be. I promise.
As a result of things we have heard, you understand, we thought it prudent to seek an interview simply in order to ascertain the truth.
Well, you'd better tell me what you've heard.
That you intend to turn the house into a home for the children of loose women, born freely and without fear, knowing that this is the sort of woman they may accidentally meet.
There would be no more risk of that than if they were going shopping or walking in the park.
But this is on our own doorstep, Mrs. Onedin.
And I promise you, there will be no disorderliness. No nuisance.
If one of those women
no
gets herself with child, the best thing she can do is throw it into the Mersey.
If any woman gets herself with child, Mr. Barber, some man is responsible. Perhaps you're just afraid that one of the mothers might recognize you.
How dare you!
And how dare you come into my house and try to bully me?
We are here.
Mrs. Onedin objects to our intrusion here. Very well. But, ma'am, we object to your proposed intrusion in our lives, too.
And I do not agree that there will be any.
I had so hoped to avoid further unpleasantness.
I run my business, and my wife runs hers.
Oh, come, Onedin.
You really mean to imply that you have no influence over your wife, sir?
I didn't say that.
Then surely at least there must be some financial constraint you might apply?
Well, you see, it's her money she's using.
A woman should do as her husband tells her. You could demand that she gives up the whole crack-brained scheme.
Suppose I could.
And will you?
No.
You mean you're prepared to condone your wife's scheme, regardless of the consequences?
Well, whether I do or whether I don't is my business. But I'll tell you this, gentlemen. I don't take kindly to anybody telling me what my wife shall or shall not do. Now, good day to you.
It is done.
Here's to 1,000 miles of Chilean railway. I can freight it. I only hope you can build it.
Is partnership with you always such a teasing business?
Is that how you regard us? As a partnership?
Does the presumption offend you?
Not offend. Not yet, really, and I do think of you as a friend. Why does that amuse you?
Relieves me. Because it suggests it isn't you that I'm in danger of offending, not really you. Only the conventions.
Which we must all live by.
What? Will you rank yourself with a sheep?
I think you forget how much I have to lose.
No. But to live and risk no part of yourself might lose you so much more.
Yes? Yes, Dunwoody. Figuera? Well, what on earth are they doing there? How long will it take? 3 to 4 weeks. Well, surely we can divert another ship. I see. Yes. Thank you.
I'm still undecided whether those contraptions aren't more of an irritation than a convenience.
Well, they certainly bring bad news all the sooner. One of my steamships has had to dock at Figuera to have a broken propeller shaft mended. It may take several weeks.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope it wasn't carrying anything perishable.
It's carrying your wine.
Then it can't possibly be here by the 20th.
Not unless I can find another carrier. For whom was it a present?
My father. It's his birthday on the 20th.
A case of port. Now, what's so important about a case of port?
Look, all that matters is that that wine gets here by the 20th and the Mercy Maiden is laid up in Figuera. Now, do you have a vessel that could pick it up?
Well, haven't you?
James, would I be asking?
Well, why me? I'd have thought another steam line would be more...
It's the sort of favour I can just ask anyone. And it is particularly important to me.
Oh, why?
It's a present.
Hmm? Who for?
Charles Marsden's father.
Marsden?
Oh, look, James, I know you and he aren't exactly on the best of terms.
But why the devil are you buying him presents?
It isn't from me, James. It's a present from Charles to his father.
Oh, gets worse. Why should I do Charles Marsden favours?
I'm asking you to do it for me. Look, I promised to get the wine here by the 20th, and I don't relish the prospect of breaking that promise.
Well, I don't know what possessed you in the first place.
Because he's a valuable customer I can't afford to lose.
Well, I'm expecting a cargo of tin plate for Portugal. Could be this week, could be next.
Well, I can't wait that long.
Well, if you're prepared to pay for me to go out there in ballast...
I'll pay you for bringing the wine back.
What, do you expect me to go all the way out there just for now?
It's a favour, James.
Well, come down to expensive, what you call favours.
Please.
No. Well, when I get my cargo of tin plate, then I'll pick it up for you. Look, wine won't spoil for the keeping. Not the first time somebody's birthday present's been a bit late.
Well, James, I just hope that you never need a favour from me.
In view of the large amount of washing there will be, I think you should consider building on a proper wash house at the back here, for I doubt the old copper would prove adequate on its own.
You put me to shame, Dr. Portman. It hadn't occurred.
Oh, if you and Mr. Onedin had... Well, that is to say, if you and Mr. Onedin had been blessed with children, no doubt you would have anticipated me.
Well, soon I shall have more than I know what to do with. And I hope I'll learn.
Hello, Mrs. Onedin.
Hello.
Oh, Mum.
Mrs. Onedin.
Good morning.
You must forgive me, Mum, but it appears I was somewhat precipitous in allowing you the key. I fear I must ask for it back, and for you both to leave. I am instructed that the sale just cannot proceed.
Instructed, sir, by whom?
Lord Hawkmoor, no less.
What has he to do with anything?
He owns the freehold of this house, as indeed he does the whole neighbourhood.
But we're not trying to buy the freehold.
But he does have the power to obstruct the sale of any leasehold on properties he owns.
Should he consider a particular sale undesirable?
I see. Well, when you toast your victory, I hope you'll always remember at whose expense it was won. Children. Little children who can't help how they come into this world or who their parents are.
I am sorry, I have tried. There just appears to be no one who can guarantee to get the wine here by the 20th.
Hardly your fault.
Well, I feel as though it is.
You did, of course, know that your ship's propeller shaft would suddenly break.
Randy?
Thank you.
Will it be a great disappointment?
Perhaps you think it petty, but we're a very close clan, we Marsdens. We tend to set great store by anniversaries. Father will be 70 next month. Thank you.
It doesn't seem petty at all.
You must meet him. And Mother. Though you might not take to her. But I guarantee you'll be beguiled by him as he will be by you, being no mean connoisseur of female beauty.
Well, no doubt the occasion will arise. One day. Is the port of vintage he particularly admired?
Oh, yes, indeed. In 1790, for the very first time, port was shipped to this country in bottles, not casks. Father was fortunate enough to inherit some of those very bottles from an uncle's cellar. But he drank the last 6 years ago, and every sip was a sweet torment to him, knowing that once that bottle was gone, he drank away history. And lying aboard your ship in Figuera is probably the most valuable case of port wine in the world.
Does your father know? What a lovely present.
Ah, he deserves it. He's the sort of man who earns his son's respect rather than demands it.
I don't think my brothers or I ever even contemplated buying our father a present. He didn't care about us, and we didn't care about him. And my son never bought Daniel any presents either.
Well, Elizabeth, I'm sorry. I didn't think that...
I'll have that wine here for you by the 20th. Trust me.
Look, Letty. If he has the right to say who shall buy those houses, no shall.
He has, I've checked.
Well, there's little point in carrying on fighting then. The sooner you start looking for another house, the better.
Have you any idea how many houses I've looked at since I started? Besides, suppose I did find somewhere else just as good, who's to say that all this won't happen again? No. I shall write to Lord Hawkmoor. He must be told the truth.
Won't do no good.
Well, then I shall go and see him. But I must do something. Anyway, I thought being an Onedin meant one never gave in. At least that's what you've always told me.
It's no good. Still waiting for me cargo of tin plate.
I think I'm going to change your mind for you, James.
Not unless you're prepared to pay for me to go out and ballast, you're not.
I've just received a cable from one of my masters in Figuera to say that the Mersey Maiden has had to dock alongside another steamship, also undergoing repairs. And the name of this other steamship is the Black Pearl.
You wouldn't try to trick me now, would you?
Would I be so foolish?
Forget, eh? Of course, you do realise that it will cost me money to go out there and ballast.
And do you realise that if it weren't for me, you might never have found it?
All right. I'll go out there, pick up your wine.
And have it back here by the 20th?
Aye.
I'm grateful. I know Charles will be.
You're not getting too tangled up with that Charles Marston, are you?
Whatever you have against him, James, is your affair. I value his friendship.
Aye. But is it safe?
Safe? What does that word imply?
Well, now, if your husband weren't in London and looked like staying there.
Don't interfere, James.
I'm only thinking of you.
Oh, no. Tell him, Doctor. Surely he can't be ready to sail yet.
It is not an easy judgment.
You prodded and poked me hard enough.
It is sooner than I would honestly recommend. But you are adamant that there's been no more pain.
I have been saying that for the past 2 weeks.
So if it is genuinely important for you to go...
Thank you, Doctor.
Why is it so important?
Well, for more reasons than I can tell you now. Look, will you give that to Dawkins, please?
It's addressed to Viscount Marsden.
Tell him that when he gets a cable from me to give that to Marston personally.
James, what are you up to?
Just want to do someone a favour. In fact, this trip, if everything goes well, will be doing just about everyone a favour.
I can tell from your face how much you've missed it. You look like someone who's just been released from prison. What's this important cargo waiting for us in Figueira, then?
A case of port wine.
Are you allowed?
You're the doctor on board the ship, Captain.
Great. I'm not sure why I should be glad to have you breathing down my neck again, but I suppose I better say it. Welcome back.
Ah, you better read. How long do you reckon it'll take us to get there?
Oh, we'll be back long before the 20th, don't you worry.
That's not what I asked.
Well, if this weather holds, 6 days, 7?
Make it 5.
Oh, wine won't go off just for the sake of a day.
I want to make sure I get there in time to pick up a passenger.
Passenger? Oh, I see. Someone important, is it?
My daughter.
Your brother? Well, I must thank you for that. He certainly wouldn't have done such a favor for me.
The only favour my brother is doing anyone is for himself.
Even so. May I take you out to supper?
I think not. Thank you.
Good night.
Here, that's a valuable instrument. What the devil does he think he's doing with that?
What does it look like?
You teach him how to use it.
Aye. Learns damn fast, too. He's the brightest lad I've known in years.
Dear madam, I hope you will believe that I understand the sincerity of your good intentions, but you in turn must understand that my own responsibilities allow me little discretion in this matter. Inappropriately placed, concern for my tenant's peace of mind, must with regret reaffirm my earlier decision. Hawkmoor.
It came this morning.
Rather as I feared it would be.
I had hoped for better. Do you think if I were to go and see him...
I'm afraid this is one battle we must reconcile ourselves to losing.
That's just what James said. I do believe that one of the reasons he was so keen to go on this trip is that he wouldn't have to concern himself over all this. Just when I need all the help I can get, he decides...
Here, you've got no work to do.
I've done it.
What the devil is this? Eh?
I lent it to him.
Oh?
Well, if the lad wants to learn.
All right, then.
I know the two flag hoists already.
Oh, do you, Pierre? Right. Would you fly when you want to call a pilot?
Oh, that's, pee on top of tea.
Nonsense. Just shove a pilot jack on your fore, that's all.
Well, he's right, though.
Bon come, shove a pilot jack on your fore, that's all you need.
Only if you're in home waters. I mean, you going to Maccaber or Mockajuba, they likely wouldn't know what a pilot jack is.
You go into Maccaber or Mockajuba, and they likely wouldn't know what a pilot is.
A pilot jack went out years ago.
Look, I've been sailing now for nearly
Only
40
half
years.
as long as me.
Doesn't mean to say that you know everything, you know.
Oh, the number of times you've accused me of being old-fashioned.
You fandangled signals, they're more trouble than they're worth.
I suppose you'd like to go back to hoisting sails up there.
Look, half the nonsense in here wouldn't be necessary if you knows how to sail a boat.
You tell that to the folks whose lives it saves.
All I'm saying is to the lad here...
Hello? Who is calling, please? The Viscount Marston. Would you please tell your master that Lady Fogarty is not at home? Thank you.
That's right. Nice and gentle. Perfect, perfect. Lassie, here.
Mr. Rains, Mr. Barday.
I know.
Saved yesterday morning. Mr. Bly, just one day.
I know. I spoke to Captain Clegg, master of your sister's steamer.
Ah, damn fool, he could have done something to delay them.
How?
I don't know, fouled up his screws or something. He could have done something.
Anyway, I know where he's bound.
Aye, so do I.
Madeira.
Aye, so everybody tells me. All right, then. That's where we go, Madeira. We'll catch him there.
I thought that wine had to be in Liverpool by the 20th.
Luke, I'm one day behind Seth Burgess. Now I'm not coming that close just to sail home again.
Your cable's on its way to Mr. Dawkins, Governor.
Madeira.
I suppose there's one thing to be said for the sea air. It's not quite so smelly.
Did Figueroa smell? I didn't notice.
Yes, it did.
Well, I'm sorry you didn't like it. But you'll find in these hot places, they do smell.
Well, not if they're civilized.
I'm afraid you'll have to teach your nose to be less sensitive, my dear. Because we go where the cargoes are. Civilized or no.
Father rarely sets foot outside his chambers nowadays. Not unless it's to go to the club, thank you. So I hope you won't take it as a slight, my coming in place of him.
No, I think I'm rather relieved, actually. Your father's always given me very good advice, but he usually manages to include a lecture on some worthy matter, such as thrift or the Christian duty of the strong to provide employment for the weak.
Knowing him, he probably includes it in his fees.
I take it you know my position?
I think so.
It's quite simple. Charlotte has left me.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, don't be. On the contrary. I realise now what a blessing it is. It isn't everyone who's given the opportunity to start again. So now I just want to be rid of her legally. Divorced.
Well, happily, that's not as difficult as it used to be.
I don't care what it costs.
What were the circumstances of her leaving?
She went off with the captain of a steam tramp.
When you say went off, what exactly do you mean?
Well, what do you think?
Where is she living now?
On his ship.
So they are living as man and wife?
I presume so.
Presume?
Well, isn't it obvious?
I'm afraid not in the eyes of the law, it isn't. Where exactly is this ship?
God knows.
So, in fact, you have no actual proof of any infidelity, nor any likelihood of obtaining it.
She left me to go off with him, and now she's living with him. Well, what more do you need?
Someone who's prepared to swear on oath that they have spent the night together in the same room.
Damn it, I thought you said divorce was easier. Surely there must be other ways.
Only one, and that's to stay apart for 7 years.
7 years?
During which time you have to be very careful of your own behaviour. No indiscretions.
Please don't be alarmed. You mustn't blame your servants. I'm afraid I used deceit to be admitted.
Your powers of persuasion must be remarkable. They're under instructions not to admit you at all.
Why? What have I done? You're out to me on the telephone, you never answer my notes, yet I thought we were friends.
You have caused me more doubt and confusion than I could ever consider charitable in a friend.
If that's so, it distresses me, and I must...
Yes. Oh, it isn't something I find easy to confront.
Elizabeth, you're an honourable woman, a married woman, married to a very important man. I wouldn't trespass on your honour lightly.
If only you had. We could have had our pleasure and been ourselves again.
I love you. No, I worship you. I've never known such pain of longing, such ache of loving. And we're a match. In all things.
I know that. Oh, God help me. Do you think I don't know that?
Give her plenty of sea room, will you, Banks?
I can see her. Bring her round the point, mister.
She's trying to signal, Gov.
Now, there's a good example of what I meant. What does J over D signify?
J over D is standing into danger.
Wish they knew their code of signals as well as you. Damn fools, we're not standing in any danger.
But it's not J over D, Governor, it's P over D.
Nonsense.
It is, I'm positive. And that means that they need medical assistance.
I know what it means.
Looks like they lost their mainsail and all.
Damn fools are still standing on.
Biggs, tell this lad what signals they're flying.
The over D. They're in need of medical help, urgent.
I knew I was right.
Now listen here, Baines. If I don't get to Madeira in time to catch Seth Burgess...
They're flying that signal because they mean it. Not like some people I know.
That was different.
Well, that's a maybe. But I'm master of this ship and no one in need of help gets ignored.
I wasn't saying ignore them.
My mistake.
Helmsman! Bring around!
All right, lads. Get ready to take off some cavers.
Are you in danger?
Oh, we can manage.
What's the trouble, then?
Captain Mangle is handing the winch. He's got gangrene.
You'll have to take it off, then.
He needs a surgeon. We've got no morphine. Gale blew out the mainsail. Bound to make port before us.
We're not stopping until we get to Madeira.
Take him with us.
All right, we'll take him on board.
Tom, go and get a bunk made up in the spare cabin.
If he lives, we'll leave him in Madeira. Well, I think we've wasted enough time now, don't you, Baines?
Who's gonna do it, then?
You were the one that insisted on taking him on board. So you can take his hand off. I'll sail the ship.
Right. You all right?
Yeah.
Still want to be a master?
Aye.
Right, now then. When you've cleared up here, I want you to stay and keep an eye on him. From the smell of him, I should say his crew must have filled him up with brandy. Now, if so, that morphine will make him vomit. Now, if he does, get him over on his side quick, because I don't want him choking. All right?
There was I schooling myself to be patient for this evening.
I received this morning a letter from your brother, delivered personally by his chief clerk, Dawkins. I should like to read it to you. Dear Marsden, knowing how much you value a certain case of port wine, I should be obliged if, by whatever means necessary, you would persuade Lord Hawkmoor, who is, as I have discovered, a friend of yours, to sell to my wife the lease on a property she wishes to buy. If, by the time that we dock, this has not been accomplished, I greatly fear scenes reminiscent of the Boston Tea Party. I'm sure Elizabeth will explain. Yours, Onedin.
How could he? Oh, how could he?
How is he then?
Dunno. Not too good.
Maybe you're right.
Baines? Oh, is that man going to be there all day, or do we get our own victuals?
We got trouble. There's gangrene in his arm.
Is it bad?
Will be by the time we get to Madeira.
Well, he'll just have to take his chances. I can't wait today taking him into port. Look, I shall lose Seth Burgess for sure. Now, you must see that.
Oh, I do. I'm not sure whether he will, that's all.
Viscount Marston.
Mrs. Onedin,
To what do I owe this honour?
I understand from Lady Fogarty, ma'am, that you have plans to open a home for children.
Hey, Gav, we got any more?
Now what?
Well, it's no good. It's spreading up his arm.
Then you'll have to take his arm off. You're on one of my ships. Taking it to Lisbon. Get you to a surgeon.
Lisbon? I thought we were chasing Captain Burgess to Madeira.
You will.
Burgess, you weren't never going to Madeira. It was just a story you put about.
Where is he headed, then?
Into the Mediterranean.
How do you know?
Was drinking with him. In Figueira. All one night. I've never met a man in his cups yet as could keep a secret.
Baines, we've been saved a wasted journey. Burgess isn't making for Madeira. He's headed for the Mediterranean. Now, as soon as we get that gentleman ashore, you should be able to get us back to Liverpool by the 20th, shouldn't you?
Aye?
You know, I reckon your Tom deserves something for spotting that signal. Bright lad he is. I'll have a mind to make him an apprentice.
Oh, begging your pardon, sir, but I've taught that lad everything he knows. Now, if anyone's going to buy him his intentions, it'll be me.
I must pay you too much. Hey. Ah, that's what I call a welcome home.
James, such news. I've been longing to tell you.
Oh, I think you're beautiful.